lead. You'll see those highlights and a whole lot more coming up as part of the Spartanburg Community College halftime show. We thank our friends at Spartanburg Community College. They have a campus right here in Cherokee County as well. Spartanburg Community College, sponsors of our halftime report. Indians, after switching sides, on the move in Byrnes territory. How about this delayed handoff? Fooled everybody and taking it all the way to the house.
Wow.
The Gaffney Indians, you know, different weapons that can be used on the ground at times, and it's one of those captains, one of those leaders in his senior season. Justin Dawkins gets the give. He breaks loose. The rest is history. And the Indians are on the board with a South Carolina Army National Guard TD.
Man, what a call, A, and B, the way that it was executed. Hard to the right, handoff, back the other way. Everybody pursuing, everybody thinking 3rd down, 14, dropping, going to throw it. Man, excellent play right there. And you can see the jubilation on that sideline.
Extra point is true. That'll send us to break. Freshly into the second quarter of action. If the first quarter belonged to Byrnes, the early returns in the second trend Gaffney. Less than 10 seconds into the second period, and they're smiling in Gaffney as we welcome you back with the Nth Degree Orthodontics Smile Can. They're creating smiles, providing smiles all across the upstate and beyond. Nth Degree Orthodontics, proud sponsors of tonight's Smile Cam. See a lot of pink in the facility tonight. Tom, one of the reasons these fans came out, certainly one of the things these coaches wanted to make sure they highlighted. You heard Coach Littlejohn talk about it, how close it is to his heart if you were with us in the pregame related to his mom, but so many who've battled through. You know the disease. We've all been touched by it in one way or another. The disease of cancer, nobody removed from its impact, and certainly all those continuing to battle. We think about you on this night. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Gaffney making an emphasis tonight to dedicate this game to breast cancer survivors, those continuing to battle through it, and all those who have been touched. As you see all that pink in tonight's Pink Out, they call it here at the reservation in Gaffney. Well, Tom, 11:51 to go. Byrnes taking back over. Gaffney needed to answer after 2 scoring drives for Byrnes. The field goal followed by the 95-yard touchdown drive. Suffice it to say, the Indians did just that.
Yeah, they weathered the storm, so to speak, early on in this game. I mean, Byrnes had complete control of it. That was an impressive drive to get on the board and get back into this one.
Well, prior to the touchdown, they had outgained Gaffney 134-47 in that first period. 37 yards for Gaffney, all coming on the ground. The Indians still looking for their first impact through the air of any real consequence. 10 yards total in that department. Byrnes had 82 through the air. Of course, 70 of that coming on the one toss to Harris, and 52 on the ground. That's how it was split for Byrnes in the first quarter. 10-0 at the end of one, now 10-7 after that long run when the seas parted for Gaffney's Dawkins a moment ago. This is going to be Byrnes on the ground doing the good work this time. You're familiar with number 3 by now, and he gives a big tap of the helmet to 55, who made some space. How about the work of McCullough right here? Trey helping Trey on this occasion.
I'll tell you what, it's just an outstanding block out on the edge, and then that young man knows what to do with it when he gets into open spaces.
That was a Greenville awning first down, the initial Greenville awning first down of the night. They'll be sponsoring our first downs in the second and third quarter. This one is on the ground, and the Indians have fallen on it for the takeaway. Byrnes puts the football on the turf, and Gaffney has the initial turnover of the night.
I think it's Durante Kimbrough. We'll look one more look at it. You want to get it out of the edge in space, and did a really nice job there. And then getting wrapped up, and he loses the ball. He was on top of a defender, so that ball's got to be out, and it is.
Well, you know who else was in the neighborhood? Zion Dawkins here as part of the group trying to disrupt for Gaffney defensively. Indians strip the football and have possession at the 41. How quickly these Region 2 games can turn on a dime, as they say. And Gaffney now looking for the lead on just their third drive of the contest, but this is handled beautifully. There would be no running room thanks to the presence of Moss.
Made a great play after penetration there. Had success on that last drive and came at a great time after the fumble recovery.
Watch 46 get there first. We've called his name time and again in this one. Harris with a little help from Moss that time, and they are able to swallow up the ball carrier. Second down, Gaffney behind the sticks with Fountain standing right in the heart of that Gaffney logo. And he will try to work together with Hill, but again, the Byrnes front says, not right here, not right now. Big high five between Burrows and also Delaney, who both were on the scene.
Yeah, you get another look here. Delaney will help make the tackle. 6'1", 230 senior. Harris, 6'2", 245 senior. Cafaro, 6'1", 256 senior. And 6'2", 245 senior is number 8, Justice Hopkins. Up front, he's a Shrine Bowl guy, and he could be matched up a little bit tonight with Scotland Dover, the left tackle for Gaffney, who is 6'4", 289, and a Shrine Bowl guy as well. That might be an interesting matchup when we see it tonight.
Something to watch. They'll be on the same team eventually, but going toe-to-toe tonight. Third down if Gaffney's to do anything with this turnover, and that's incomplete, intended for Brady Smith. So fourth down from behind the sticks. Remember, we saw Gaffney on a solid punt. Pin Byrnes deep at their own 5. That ended up being a 95-yard march. Indians will think about this at midfield as a result of that, but the punting unit is back out there after doing such good work the last time around.
You know, we saw Banks Boughton do this a lot against Spartanburg. And when you get near midfield on this side, he can do a good job as a punter, 9 times for 34.3.
Puts a foot into it. And it'll be out of bounds at around the 24-yard line. That's where Byrnes will take over. You want to stick around for the Spartanburg Community College halftime show. About 9 minutes, 47 seconds away. Already some highlights to show you. A long touchdown toss to Harris on the Byrnes side of things. A long touchdown run by Dawkins on the Gaffney side of things. A field goal separating them right now, a 28-yarder that started the scoring. And you'll see it all. Stats, learn more about both these teams. A whole lot more coming up on the Spartanburg Community College halftime show. Under 10 to play opening half. Joy to have you with us from Cherokee County tonight. And as the Spartanburg County is represented by Byrnes and the homestanding Gaffney Indians welcome you into this Friday Night Rivals broadcast. These two teams. What did the coaching staffs tell us? That maybe these two fan bases talk more trash at one another than any other. The rivalries around the state certainly can grab your attention, but the fan bases, they relish this one when it goes in the win column for the next 365 days.
You and I walk around before the game, and I mean, there are some veteran fans that have been here a long, long time.
Saw the 40-year PA voice of the Rebels down there on the sideline a little bit earlier. A lot of familiar faces on both sides, Byrnes and Gaffney, and always good to be here in the upstate. We thank both ADs, both principals, both superintendents, all those who make nights like tonight possible on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals. All good solid friends of ours and difference makers in the game of high school football. Third down coming Remember, Gaffney had Byrnes in a third down scenario back inside their own 10 on that touchdown scoring drive, only to see Segura break loose. This is a little further out, though. Going to be 3rd down and 9. Speaking of Segura, this time met, and it's Michaels. Check that, Ratchford. Ratchford, the leader on that defense for Gaffney. Zion Ratchford comes in there, and he's able to make the stop.
Man, that doesn't happen very often. He was able to get him down one-on-one. He's a north-south guy, going to be in that all-star game. 6'3", 215 senior. 3-year starter, leading tackler coming in with 49. Here's a big one right
All kind of problems, and Gaffney's going to fall on it for a touchdown. The Indians had a takeaway earlier on which they did not capitalize, but playing field position, the special teams will do just that. Gaffney out front for the first time on this miscue in the kicking game.
Well, all set up by the fact that the defense got it done after Byrnes' defense did as well.
A South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown as they gather up around A.J. Logan and celebrate following Gaffney's touchdown on what was going to be a Byrnes kick. The field position battle pays off this go-round. Here's a glance at the trouble, and it's right where Gaffney hoped it would be, as it is covered up by A.J. Logan to put the Indians out front. Well, when it comes to turnovers and miscues, Indians winning that battle right now. And Tom, this the most consequential play of the contest. It turns in to a South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown as A.J. Logan finds it in pay dirt.
Yeah, I tell you, special teams, we always talk about the 3 phases of the game. Turned out to be a huge one there. And what a turn of events after the Rebels had a 10-0 lead following that touchdown pass of 70 yards from Rogers to Harris, and things have turned around. They were just getting started here with 8:32 to go in the second quarter.
So after Gaffney did not capitalize on the fumble, decided to kick it once again. Paid off as Byrnes' punt turned into disaster. And suddenly a Byrnes team that came in here riding high, out front 10-0 at the end of one period of action, looks up at the scoreboard and says, what happened here? 14-10 Gaffney with 8:24 to go in the second period of action. This one changed quickly.
Yeah, a couple of miscues. I mean, the fumble recovery then at the 41-yard line by Gaffney, by Kimbrough, and they did a good job defensively to shut that down momentarily, but able to make the play on the bad snap there. All of a sudden, Rebels find themselves down here 14-10 midway through the second period of play.
On Gaffney's defense, right back out there, Bailey and company. Wreak a little more havoc, perhaps. And plenty of those black jerseys swarming towards Segura, as you expect they will be all night. That's Ty McGill who's on the scene.
Yeah, Ty McGill's a young man, the 5'10", 190-pound junior linebacker. Got some help from Dominic Odom as well. And we had talked about Ratchford and what he brings to the table, but McGill as well. He has 21 tackles coming in, a couple for loss as well. And had the 2 INTs that we saw over at Spartanburg earlier this year.
Zion Dawkins, who is in the middle of everything for Gaffney from time to time, it seems. Second down, Byrnes. 28-yard line. Able to elude the first set of tacklers and work his way beyond the marker, up across the 40. How about this run for Segura? This vintage Trey Segura right here. Yeah. Just when you think you have him wrapped up, not so much.
That's the appropriate word, I think, right there. I mean, you look like he had him, and he comes out of there and just keeps the legs churning. And again, Dawkins has got to make that play in the secondary, and that is so difficult as well. But just pretty amazing what he can do after contact.
Sets up a Greenville awning first down at the 41-yard line. Byrnes letting that clock roll on down towards 7 minutes to play in the opening half. Segura, good for a couple before the entire cast gets there for Gaffney. And it'll be second down and 8.
It's so hard to bring down that Kelton Smith at 3:15's got to just hold on and wait for the cavalry, as they say, to get there and help out to make the play. And they did swarm to make that play. You know, if you see the big guy right there, but if you hold Segura about 3 yards, you've done your job.
You have accomplished something with what he can do. You saw him carry the whole pile with him a little bit earlier. Here he makes something out of nothing a moment ago to get the latest first down. And now on second down, following his 2-yard gain, a toss in the direction of Harris. Didn't work out the way it did that first time with that 70-yard connection. Instead, Gaffney's waiting for it.
Yeah, Chance Michaels again comes over. He's made a couple of really good plays tonight because want to get that young man out in space, and why not? 28 catches, 5 touchdowns, 16 yards per catch coming in, and a big one tonight for 70. Good job to make an on-field tackle.
Third down and 8. Leading the Gaffney 49 to move the chains. Rogers and Byrnes. And he's got plenty of wideouts to work with, 4 of them, including a man in motion to make it trips to the north side. Underneath. And that's going to be very near first down yardage as they work it to Fuller. It's going to be very interesting as to where they spot this time. This is close to first down yardage.
Yeah, I tell you, nice effort right here. Good block out on the edge. And what the big guy we talked about going to help make that tackle coming in from the backside, the nose guard, and then Dawkins again. So close there. Again, that was Smith, 6'4", 315 senior. Nose guard never gave up on the play, but a pretty good effort to try to provide that opportunity here.
Well, we had a measurement on the opening drive of the game. Why not another right about in the same general area? Teams were obviously switched and headed the other directions, but this is going to require a measurement as well to determine the potential Greenville awning first down. Stretching out the chains. And this 10-yard fight won by Byrnes. Rebels have a new set of downs. It is a Greenville awning first down.
I mean, it's only in the second quarter play, and so much has happened in this game just from a sheer emotion and momentum standpoint that I think this is a pretty big drive for Byrnes after they led 10-0 and then got behind 14-10 after the miscue on the punt snap there, and they come back and keep it alive. 5:15 and rolling. We saw them have a drive of 5.5 minutes to begin things at the first of the ball game.
Greenville awning with custom shade solutions for business and homes of South Carolina. Greenville awning, sponsors of our first downs tonight. And here is the Greenville awning first down play from just below that midfield logo. Segura driven to the turf by Williams again. K-Will Williams right on the scene.
And Michael's there as well. I'll tell you, both defenses are getting after it, and they are flowing to the football.
Second down, going to be a long 8, perhaps even 9 yards here. 39 needed on the Gaffney side of the 50. Byrnes is to keep marching. And timeout's going to be called for. Remember, Byrnes utilizing one of these earlier So the second time out of the half being called by the Rebels, who are trying to go on the march, down 4 in the second period. Well, this one already with its twists and turns on this night. Gaffney leading at 14-10. The pink out game as they chase 19 here in Cherokee County. 43rd all-time meeting between these two historic South Carolina powers when you consider what Byrnes was in the early part of the new millennium and what Gaffney's been throughout the history of Palmetto State football. 22-20 is the Gaffney lead in the series all time, separated by just a couple of games, as Byrnes came on the scene a little later. This is Segura after the timeout on second down, and their flag comes in here, and he's near first down yardage, but you got to sort out the laundry first as our official comes over with the verdict.
Looks like it's going to go against Byrnes. If you don't seal that edge, and he can get down the sideline, but on the other hand, we've seen him go back up inside successfully as well. We'll get another look at it here.
More importantly, they're walking it off against the Rebels. This is going to back Byrnes up on the penalty, a holding call that will place the football at the 43-yard line. Tom, what have you seen from Byrnes after those first couple of drives in which things went kind of according to plan for the Rebels?
Well, they've been able to run the football a little bit. They're trying to get involved in the passing game. We've seen the long pass play that was set up, though, by Rogers' ability to scramble a little bit, throw it deep, try to get it out on the edge and get to Harris one-on-one out that way to see what he can do. And actually, for the most part, been able to pretty good job on him out on the edge anyway.
Toss into open real estate on the far side. Boy, saw just a moment ago on your screen, Markel Smalls, not quite appropriately named, right? He can fill up the screen. Big 9'5" does that. Driving through town earlier today, through uptown Gaffney, saw the Capri Theater, the historic theater here in town. Class of 95. You got to think about it, right? Every time you get one of those 10-year increments here in 2025, as Big 95 was on your screen there a moment ago, makes you think of that class of 95 and all those that they're celebrating their homecomings this year, and you know those numbers changing on the front of how many years it's been since you were one of those up on the front in this high school football environment. The fans of all ages enjoying this one tonight. Here's a third down play and another third down in which it's given to number 3, and this time around there will be no room. Actually, check that. That's handed off to Fuller this time. But the Indians, regardless of who the ball carrier was, equal to the task. Fourth down coming.
Yeah, Durante Kimbrough in there on the tackle. He's with some help there. And again, we've mentioned this young man, Kamari Williams, a couple times as well. Kimbrough was a guy that had the fumble recovery a little bit earlier in the ball game. That's again, you get behind the sticks, and that's not what either team really wants to do. And it's going to play out here to a certain extent with the punt formation. You never know what's going to happen. We saw what happened last time.
Well, this a much better snap. Gaffney nearly getting to this, and that's a high kick, but it's going to take a major Byrnes bounce. In fact, a handful of them. How nicely this works out for the Rebels, and the kicker doing a good job to get it out of there initially and work it all the way down to the 17-yard line. That's where Gaffney will take over. So 2:33 to go in the first half of action here in Cherokee County. What a battle this one is proving to be. You know, you think about battles, you think about Cherokee County. Tom, a friend of mine was reminding me that so much of the Revolutionary War in this portion of the country right here in Cherokee County. Kings Mountain, the park on one end of the county, Cowpens the other. Some of those scenes made famous from the movie The Patriot and otherwise that was filmed in this region of the state. 250 years our country is going to be celebrating next year. One of the big emphasis they have here in Cherokee County right now is on that 250th year anniversary celebration for this great country in which we live. Can't come to nights like tonight without thinking about what a blessing it is to be at a place like this, enjoying a moment like this, and all those down through the ages from the Revolution on who have paid the price for us to enjoy these kind of nights, and those still doing it, still standing guard around the world to make these nights possible. We say a big tip of the cap and a huge thank you.
Yeah, we were talking about historic in terms of the state championships, 29 between these two teams. But yeah, when you go back that far, a lot of history.
How about the Kings Mountain guy? He's going to touch it here, right? He's got to do that. When you start talking about those battles, it's going to be covered up by Byrnes as they will turn it aside. And we got a player down. Speaking of, the last thing you want to see right now is one of these individuals on either side unable to continue. Well, the numbers to prove what you're talking about, Tom. Those 18 state championships that Gaffney has secured dating all the way back to the 1920s and as recently as 2021.
Yeah, that was the 22-19 win over Dutch Fork, and Dutch Fork had won 5 consecutive, then Gaffney wins.
Remember
Dutch
that day
Fork
very well.
Has won the next 3. How many of those have you broadcast, those championships?
All of the 5As that have ever been played.
Is that right?
Certainly is one of the memorable ones because Gaffney rolled in there and kind of reminded everybody they had been the power historically. Of course, Grenard High here in Cherokee County also snatching away a few championships along the way. So there's a championship history for all of those in the community here in Gaffney, and they are very proud. You know, for the longest time, pride and tradition were the 2 words that were used to mark this program. It's still very much true. We're talking about all the battles and Kings Mountain. The kid that came over from Kings Mountain, Josiah Hill, who initiated that conversation, he's up under his own power, and that's a good sign for Gaffney. Back into the game now, Tom. Guy who had the long touchdown run, Justin Dawkins, number 4 back in there.
And that was on a 3rd down 14, I believe, and draw play.
Telling me to remember this is a 3rd down from behind the sticks as well here. 3rd down and 12 for Gaffney. This time around, the ball is on the 14-yard line. Here is Boughton showing you what he can do with the wheels. Up across the 35. He's still looking for some real estate to the 45-yard line. And as we close in on the final minute of the first half, it's Banks Boughton's more impressive run of the night. Here's the Gaffney QB.
Yeah, 31-yard run, and he hasn't done a whole lot of that tonight. He's coming off 11 carries, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Became a serious factor in that game. But you go back to the Spartanburg game and what they were able to do in the second half between Hill and Banks Boughton. And he is a threat in the running game. He brings that to the quarterback position. Sometimes you don't see that. That's a big one, 31-yard run on 3rd down and 14.
Well, it puts Gaffney up near midfield at the 45-yard line. Timeout called as the Indians want to talk about their approach now that they have some room to work with here, Tom. Looking to build upon a 14-10 advantage. Just about 1:06 as it stands right now away from the Spartanburg Community College halftime show. You're going to look back at some of the key moments from this first half. Tom, as we kind of work our way toward the Spartanburg Community College halftime show, what are your takeaways from this first half?
Well, I tell you, it's kind of what we thought it was going to be. The way it began, though, the 28-yard field goal and then the 70-yard touchdown pass, Rogers to Harris, all of a sudden it's 10-0, and you wondered about Gaffney. How were they going to be able to respond? And, you know, they came back and put together a nice drive themselves of 80 yards and got the 28-yard run by Justin Dawkins to make it 10-7. Then a couple of turnovers, a bad snap recovery to the end zone. That's where we are at 14-10.
Boughton goes over the top. Adjustment made by Hines, and that'll be a Gaffney first down into Byrnes territory. And you credit the receiver right here, does some nice work to get back to the football.
Well, that's a nice job, too, by Boughton to begin with, because he's probably thinking about running it like he did a minute ago, and he didn't want to go past the line of scrimmage. And, man, he's rolling left. He kind of threw it off his back foot and floated it in there for a big gain.
Tossed. Smith near side, and there's a flag down in the backfield with 39 seconds remaining in the half.
And you go back to that 31-yard run, Jason, and if he doesn't convert on that, you're going to have to punt it away.
Yes.
And there's going to be a pretty good opportunity to get good field position. That was a huge play here in the first half.
How many big third down conversions have we seen on both sides? You think about Byrnes was back in their own territory at around the 7 or 8 yard line, converted on a third down with a run from Segura that resulted in a 95-yard march and a touchdown. Here's Gaffney. Will they get points off of this? Only time will tell. But that big third down conversion stands as the stage setter for this.
And almost all of them have come via the run.
That is worth underscoring as well. Now, after they mark this off following the penalty, it's going to be first down and a mile. Gaffney needs the 23 for a first down. Time is precious as anything right now with 39 seconds now. The clock runs. Boughton does as well. And he's in the flat and is down at the 36-yard line. Quickly working back to snap it. Gaffney on second down and about 12 now. And they decide to spike it. Third down coming with 20 seconds to play. Not far from being in a position to try a crack at it field goal wise, which would give you the 7-point advantage. But some work to do for Gaffney if they're to add anything further.
You get a good look there at Banks. Bowden, 6'2", 205 senior. And I mean, he gets ahead of his team. He's tough to bring down in the open field. And we talked about his the way he has evolved to a certain extent. They had a quarterback competition early in the year, and that played out. One quarterback leaving, and he's kind of settled in there. Coach telling us, he's running the show right now. And he also talked about his offensive line and how they have developed together as the season's gone on.
Boy, doesn't that always make the difference? This is still a game that is won in the trenches, and both these teams pretty good at making space for these backs. Everything coming to a halt with 20 seconds remaining in the opening half. The Gaffney Indians powering from behind. They've scored the last 14 points to lead at 14-10. Well, 20 up on the board. That grabs your attention. Take us inside the huddle for these two teams right now, Tom.
Well, I mean, you're 3rd and 13, and the last thing you want to do is make a mistake. And maybe having the interception and it can be returned for a TD or in field goal range, something like that. I think you want to be relatively conservative here. Make sure you get to the locker room at 14-10 with a lead.
What a beautiful night for football, right at 60 degrees here in Gaffney. Fans of all ages enjoying themselves. Just might see another one like the last time around. How about 2 overtimes and a 15-9 win when they most recently met?
And you think about that game, it was a home game for Byrnes.
Yes.
It was played here because they played all of them on the road last year, went 5-6 because of the newly renovated Nixon.
The Nixon Field renovations.
Yeah,
here's the third down from behind the sticks. Boughton tried to find a gap there and just enough to drag him down. Back at where the original line of scrimmage was. It's going to be 4th down and 10. The bigger 10 right now, the 10 seconds that remain. Gaffney's going to burn another timeout ahead of this 4th down play. It's going to be the last play, perhaps, that Gaffney can do something with in this first half. Take a look. Saw an opening, but it closed up quickly.
Yeah, Jackson Delaney and then Justice Hopkins hanging on for dear life there.
You go back to Nixon Field for just a moment. We got to say, the job that Byrnes has done. They flipped sides, have done those renovations that have been anticipated for some time since they went on those tremendous runs in the early 2000s, making themselves one of the great powers in high school football here in the Palmetto State. Tom, we got to get over there at some point and take a look at it for ourselves.
Yeah.
But all indications are they did it the right way. And congratulations to Byrnes on now having not only the environment that's been there over the years, but one of the finer facilities to go along with what you travel and experience around Region 2.
And you think about what happened last year. We did that game in Spartanburg. I think it was 58-14 that Spartanburg beat Byrnes, and you wondered what would happen after that. They came in here, and that was 15-9 in 2 overtimes and came up a little bit shy, and they went 5-6 on the road, and they had to play every game away from home. So I asked, the pregame there, I asked Coach Shaw, what was it like that first night? He said it was electric. It was unbelievable, and what a great job that the folks over that way did.
No doubt about it. 4th down play after the timeout for Gaffney. And looks like they're going to blow this one dead. There were 10 seconds, remember, on the game clock when the ball was set to be snapped after the timeout. Not sure if Byrnes utilize. They're going to have to Obviously, it'll be 10 seconds, 4th down and 10 from the 33, but they're pointing over to the Byrnes coaching staff as after Gaffney gave a look, everything was blown dead.
So, Jason, real quickly here, Spartanburg leads Dorman 23-7 at Spartanburg in the second quarter.
One of those battles of Spartanburg County, absolutely. Remember, Gaffney gets the football to start the third quarter after deferring after winning the toss tonight. So points here be huge to extend the lead for Gaffney. Big stop for Byrnes necessary, and the Rebels come up with it. 5 seconds remaining as Byrnes will get off the field. They forced a turnover on downs. Nicely handled. Boy, that Byrnes front has been impressive in key moments tonight.
Yeah, that was Hopkins and Harris, a couple of 6'2", 245-pound guys.
I'm going to say it. Some of this work that's being done on the road in Region 2, impressive, and you keep an eye on that Spartanburg and Dorman score because of where things are. And remember, there will be 2 different divisions emerging out of Region 2. Right. Gaffney will be in one division. Byrnes and the likes will be in the other. So this is one of those years, both these teams, if they go on a run, could end up with some championship glory when all is said and done. We saw that most recently happen in this region when Spartanburg, under a guy who has Byrnes ties, Chris Miller, won their most recent championship in a split scenario. That was Chris Miller, and taking the Vikings to that scenario. You think about guys like Chris Miller, Coach Bentley, of course, Dan Jones hanging it up here a year ago on the Gaffney side of things. He's a couple of booths over from us right now.
Yeah, come over.
Had a chance to visit with Coach Jones.
Give you some X's and O's.
Yep, always great to see him. And boy, the latest chapter being written in this rivalry right now between coaches Shaw and Littlejohn. And we'll hear from both of them. With the 14-10 lead, we'll see the Gaffney coach with Nelson in just a moment. You'll hear from the Byrnes head coach coming back out of the locker room. Always a pleasure to get their thoughts in moments like these, and what a game this has proven to be. Byrnes led it 10-0 after one quarter. Gaffney with 14 unanswered points in the second period to carry the lead into the locker room as a band of gold makes its way out onto the field to entertain the home faithful. And what a night these fans are enjoying in the pursuit for the Gaffney Indians of number 19. So far, so good. Here's the head coach of the Gaffney Indians with Nelson.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Well, Coach, I got to tell you, that was quite the resurgence from your team in the second quarter. And here we are. You guys are up 14-10. What are your thoughts on the game so far, Coach?
Well, you can see why special teams are very important. I've been preaching that all year long, that we need 3 phases. We had a big special team play that put us up 14 points. We need a dang. Defense is playing great. We need to establish the run in the second half.
All right, good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Tom, Jason, back to you guys.
Well, Gaffney with 14 in the second quarter after Byrnes posted 10 in the first. And here was the run that put the Indians on the board. Of course, the punt scenario on which Gaffney and Logan fell on it to put the Indians out front. That's where we sit, 14-10 at the intermission here in Cherokee County. Back in Gaffney, South Carolina, 43rd all-time meeting between the Gaffney Indians and the Byrnes Rebels. Home team leading at 14-10. It was 10-0 Byrnes after one. 14 unanswered points for Gaffney in the second period. And they just finished listening to the Band of Gold. Tom entertaining the fans here at halftime. Our pleasure to welcome you back to the Spartanburg Community College halftime report. And Tom, you take a look back at some of the key moments from this one, and there were plenty of highlights early. A lot of them on the ground, but it was the 70-yard touchdown toss which got Byrnes rolling.
Yeah, Kane Rogers bought himself some time there. Chu Harris, he's got it down the sideline. Big Hughes takes it into the end zone for the touchdown.
That was after a field goal that put Byrnes on the board. So it was 10-0 then, but look at this. Gaffney changed things on one run.
Justin Dawkins there, and that was 3rd down 14 there. Draw play, well executed. He's happy about that. That was a big one.
The difference in the end in the kicking game when all was said and done, both defenses able to stand tall, try to limit things in that second quarter down the stretch, but this was the moment that changed it. Gaffney falls on this. A.J. Logan finds it. Touchdown Indians. Just like that, the home team's out front.
Yeah, the fumble recovery prior to that, and then a bad snap there, and that changed the whole complexion. It was a 10-0 ball game with 1 point, all momentum on Byrnes' side, and then all of a sudden, Gaffney here at home, they are tough to beat here at the reservation.
Let's take a look at our halftime numbers, also brought to you by Spartanburg Community College. And Tom, Indians tinkering right around 100 rushing yards now, 130 total. Been outgained by Byrnes overall, but again, that special teams play and what they've done on the whole, enough to carry the lead into the intermission.
Yeah, you see the 2 turnovers there, and you see the 57 yards rushing by Byrnes, and in their game against Dorman, they really struggled to run the football, so nice job defensively. Although Segura's been pretty good at the first half, but to hold with 57 is pretty good.
Both teams making their way back out onto the field. This is another one of those classic Gaffney-Byrnes games, going to be settled in the second half. The Indians and Rebels coming up on the other side of the break. Fans of all ages enjoying themselves tonight here in Cherokee County. Gaffney leading Byrnes 14-10 at the intermission. Tom, you look back at this one and, a night that Byrnes got off to the fast start, but Gaffney in the end getting the job done. So much of it on both sides on the ground. Let's revisit your keys to the game. You talked about the ground game tonight. It's been effective at times on both sides.
Yeah, you were talking about Gaffney wanted to establish the run with Hill, and then Banks Boughton was pretty good there late, real good, particularly on a third down play as well. Both those guys did a good job. They want to wrap up and do a little bit better job attacking. I think they've done that tonight. Byrnes, they wanted to be able to stop that run, and they did for the most part until they were able to widen it out a little bit there in the second quarter of play, and then limit the turnovers, which was a big one for Byrnes. They had 4 against Gorman and that lost 33-21. They committed 2 in the first half. One of them ended up in a touchdown.
Absolutely. Those are our Spartanburg, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram keys to the game. Brought to you by our friends at Spartanburg, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Coach Johnny Littlejohn with his Gaffney team back out there. He's looking for a couple of wins, one on the road and one at home on our air in a 3-week stretch, Tom, against 2 of the great historic rivals for his Gaffney team. So far, so good for Coach Littlejohn and company.
Yeah, you have to give him credit because the momentum was all on Byrnes' side. They came out, put together a 60-yard drive and 5:28, and ended up a 28-yard field goal, able to get off the field, and then came back with that quick touchdown, the 85-yard drive, and 2:47 when Rogers able to hit the touchdown throw of 70 yards as well. So good job by Gaffney to get back into this game and then have a lead here at halftime.
That finishes up our Spartanburg Community College halftime report. Remember, they got a campus right here in Cherokee County where they're training some of the best. Spartanburg Community College, sponsors of our halftime report. Fans settled in, ready for the second half of action. And Tom, who would have expected anything less than Gaffney and Dorman coming right down, at least it seems it's going to the wire once again.
Welcome to 5A Region 2. We've seen Spartanburg and Gaffney earlier this year. We saw Boiling Springs and Dorman last week. So we've seen most of the teams that are probably going to compete for the championship in the region, and how important that is for seeding and so forth. You want to be able to play as many as you can. And at last report, we had Spartanburg with a 23-7 lead on Dorman. Dorman Gaffney both 3-0. Byrnes 2-1 and Spartanburg 2-1. So these are big games all of them, but I think particularly for Byrnes and for Spartanburg.
You remember Dorman got that win at Byrnes, at Nixon, one of the premier moments of the year so far. Gaffney will go to Dorman. That's one of the ones still hanging out there. A couple of teams with championship dreams and pursuits. Kick it off here in the third quarter. We're back underway. Gaffney going to catch this at around the 24. That's where the Indians will take over. So here Banks Boughton getting ready to lead them back out. What adjustments are you looking for the Gaffney Indians, Tom?
Well, I think Gaffney again has got to put the ball in the hands. We'll see that we saw Hill go out a little bit late in the first half, but we also saw Dawkins come in. I do think that and got that run for the touchdown. That if you're Byrnes, I think you need a good defensive stand right here to begin things in the second half of it. And if you're Gaffney, you just want to keep that momentum going here as we get into the third quarter of play.
The Indians opting to defer after winning the toss, and though they fell in a 10-0 hole at the end of a single period, do have the lead by 4 as we go back to action. And no surprise, it'll be on the ground. How about bouncing off the initial tackler, but then covered up. Byrnes continued its pursuit, and the Rebels turned aside the ball carrier. Hill was a little banged up earlier tonight. Good to see him still out there for Gaffney, or actually, good to see him still out there for Gaffney. But I was going to say, actually, it's Byrnes that owns this moment, Tom.
Yeah, and I think nicely played there by Jackson Delaney. He has been in the mix in quite a few things. And again, what happened, and we talked about this before, is you get behind the sticks a little bit on second down and 15. We saw that early with Byrnes, the ability with Tracy Garrett to get somebody yardage on the first down or something.
And this is incomplete. Tried to toss one in the direction of Hines. By the way, mentioned Hill there a moment ago, and you saw him. He's one of the captains. Of course, Ratchford, one of the captains. Dawkins, who had that big run earlier as well, in the captain front, and Smith, the last of the Gaffney captains on Smith, the 4 that have been given that leadership opportunity by this Gaffney squad. What are you seeing here as we head into third down?
The pink, every one of those shoes has the pink color on it, and it's been that kind of symbolic night.
A reminder of what the emphasis is on this pink out. And again, as so many said early in the broadcast, and as we mentioned earlier, thoughts with you. Those of you still battling, and certainly our hearts go out to you. We're with you. And boy, this crowd is with their quarterback down the near side, and he's going to take it all the way to the house. There's a highlight moment for you. Banks Mountain breaks loose, and then he does the tightrope act on the near side to give him something to cheer about. Gaffney extends the lead on his long touchdown run. How about this 70-plus yard run?
I mean, it wasn't there. He wanted to throw the football. He chased, just pull it down like he did that 31-yard run earlier. Look at that right on the sideline. Looked like he was in bounds there, and then tell you what, 6'2", 205. He kicked it into high gear and outran everybody for a touchdown. He can do that. He didn't get involved too much with the running game most of the first half, but late in the second quarter he did.
That South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown run going to boost the rushing numbers for the Gaffney Indians and remind you how many different ways Banks Mountain can be a contributor. Freshly into the third quarter. How about the starts to these quarters for the Gaffney Indians? Their spurt in the last two has them up 11. Now showing his value to Gaffney fans everywhere. Take a look at Boughton. He takes off and makes the near sideline his home. There's the good footwork. And the rest of the way, he's solid. Takes it all the way in. 75 yards on the drive, 80 yards on the run after the penalty. And Tom, a minute into this third quarter, that South Carolina National Guard touchdown has Gaffney out front. 21-10.
So how many times do we and everybody else in America broadcast and talk about the importance of the first drive in the third quarter? That was a pretty big one. Yeah, you saw him tightrope kind of leaning to the left and keep his balance, and he was great camera work there to see the sideline, and he was in play. Nicely done.
Doesn't always play out that way for us to back up what the coaches tell us, but you're right. How often do the coaches tell us final minutes of the first half, early minutes of the second half, among the most critical stretches in the football game? Well, Gaffney using, how about the first minute or so of the second quarter, the first minute or so of the third quarter, and now they've posted 21 unanswered points after trailing 10-0 at the end of the first.
I mean, and we just began the third quarter. Who knows how it's going to play out, but just the swings of emotion that we have seen in this game as Byrnes got out to that quick, got a field goal, got the touchdown, a long pass at 70 yards, and then you needed an answer, and you were able to get it from Gaffney. And then a miscue on a high snap resulted in a touchdown as well. And, you know, and then you get the long 80-yard run, and lo and behold, you've got a 21-10 lead. There's that train again.
Coming through. Long series of train cars coming, you would think, before this one's done. And Byrnes showing you early how quickly they can put 10 on the board. They need to come up with something now in response to Gaffney's 3 touchdowns. 2 of the rushing variety, one by a back out of the stable and another by the quarterback. With that miscue in the kicking game that Gaffney capitalized on, sandwiched in between. Speaking of the ground game, you know Segura is going to have his say before it's all said and done. Second down run, true. That's a first down. A First Franklin Financial first down picked up here as the Rebels go on the march toward midfield.
And what he does so well, we saw this particularly early on in the first quarter and some of the second quarter, his ability to kind of be patient, wait for the blocks and make a nice cut and pick up some good yardage.
Important drive for Byrnes right here.
Yeah, it is really important.
When you consider what Gaffney has been able to do in creating the separation, who do you turn to? Segura, here he goes, up across the 45. to around the 47-yard line. Move the chains again. Couple of quick First Franklin Financial first downs for Segura.
Well, when in doubt and want to settle some things down. And again, that is you used the term vintage earlier, but we've seen that innumerable times in this game. He takes it up inside. He's able to read that. There's not much there. And for the most part, he's cut back to the right, accelerated, and gets a good gain there again.
From the 47. Tripped up just when it looked like he may have some open space.
Dang, that 46-yard line can be tough to get by.
It, what did they always say? Looked like maybe caught the leg of one of his, well, maybe not. Don't know if that was the turf monster, as they often say, or if, in fact, he was tripped up by one of those trying to make space for him there with that unit up front. They've done such good work tonight to spring him on more than one occasion. Let's see what they can do just behind the sticks on second down. Segura again, striving for the 50. And a third down coming. Bell tolls ahead of a third down with 8.5 remaining in the third quarter.
Hey, here comes a big play right here in this third quarter. About a third down and a bunch, about 3rd and 7.
Couple of third downs were key when Byrnes put together their scoring drive in that first quarter. Conversions that led to a 95-yard touchdown drive. They will not convert here, and that was nearly a takeaway by Ty McGill. He tried to repeat the feat from a couple of weeks ago on the broadcast. This is in and out of his hands. It works out just as fine for the Indians, as that'll be 4th down coming for Byrnes.
Man, I tell you what, and Bailey almost got there, but what a read, cut in front. There was coverage on the backside, but McGill, as you mentioned, those 2 interceptions in the Spartanburg game, 1 for a touchdown.
And had designs on another there, tried to play batted up momentarily. This is going to be an offsides penalty against Gaffney. That's going to make 4th down a little more manageable in Gaffney territory. This suddenly becomes 4th and 2 from the 45. Does that change anything for Byrnes? It absolutely does.
Yes, it
Rebels
does.
getting set to run the offense back out onto the field, because that's easily Segura range if they can create some space for him.
Yeah, that's just a mental mistake there to jump off sides, because they were going to punt that, or at least we should say, looked like they were going to punt the football.
Certainly appeared that way. All signs were pointing that direction. Instead, the Byrnes offense back out there. The second time an offsides penalty. Remember, he drew Gaffney off on a 3rd and short earlier. This time Rogers going to give to Segura, and on the second effort, he has it. 1st down inside Gaffney territory. That proves costly for the Indians, as it'll move the chains and keep the march going for the Rebels.
And even if you know what's coming, and really had a great penetration there, it's just a very nice run again. He jumped it outside, and then Dawkins, sophomore's got to run him down, but there was good penetration. But boy, it's just difficult to bring him down, even if you know what's coming.
Tuck that away in the back of your mind, that offsides penalty, which made it manageable for Byrnes. Rebels need to capitalize. Hanson through some traffic, and that's good for about 9 on a 1st down carry. Begins to build. It's the old snowball working downhill here, Tom, as Byrnes methodically at the 7:05 mark and ticking downward is in business.
Well, you go back to Baltimore, where there's that first series of the night ended up being 60 yards, and the good job defensively keep them out of the end zone and force a 28-yard field goal. And so here is another long drive by Byrnes, and they're going to try to finish this one off.
Well, who can forget that second drive? It was a 95-yard march for Byrnes after the punt pinned them deep in their own territory. This is going to be 3rd down and 1. Rebels unable to get it on the 2nd down effort. So another key 3rd down after converting on 4th and 2 a moment ago. Rebels face 3rd and 1 here. We work toward the middle stages of the 3rd quarter. Byrnes led 10-0 at the end of the first period. The 21 points since, all belonging to Gaffney. Ball on the ground, and the Indians scoop it up. Falling on top of it for Gaffney is Chanson Michaels, and the Indians have another takeaway. Images of what happened earlier on this portion of the field. Just when it looks as if Byrnes is ready to respond and cap the drive with points, it is the second official turnover of the night and the third play on which a miscue on a snap or otherwise sends momentum Gaffney's direction.
I'll tell you, that's just a miscue on the part of Byrnes, the quarterback, and Kane Rogers and Trace Guerra just can't make that connection, and I'm sure they've done it a million times, 100 times, and just one of those things that they didn't do. And good job there by Gaffney to make that play.
Boy, it just goes slow motion, doesn't it, Tom? In a moment like that, you can see it slipping away if you were Byrnes, somehow able to gather it up and hang on to it far side. For Gaffney, guy responsible for a touchdown run earlier tonight, may have saved the day by keeping possession for the Indians here. That's Justin Dawkins. But in a moment like that, it just kind of goes slow motion on you. You see nobody but a black jersey there to fall on it. And just like that, Gaffney back in business with 5.5 to go in the third. And that trend continues of nothing of consequence for Byrnes since we moved into the second quarter of the game. Bailey, far side, up across the 30 to the 33-yard line.
And we saw him a little bit against in the backfield against Spartanburg. He's been a standout as an outside linebacker and sometimes moves up at DN position as well. So doing kind of yeoman's work on both sides.
Darius Bailey. Told you about the history, 22-20, the split, and the 42 prior meetings between these two teams. Gaffney winning 9 of 13 played in the month of October over the years. Coach Shaw 5-6 personally against Gaffney all time. He was trying to get to 500 against the Indians, but it's Gaffney with the momentum now, though this third down play falls incomplete. Tried to wheel Josiah Hill out of the backfield. It was not to be. So Gaffney, for what it's worth, Tom, has not capitalized on the 2 takeaways in this game. Just the kicking miscue to this point, but they have stolen away momentum on a couple of occasions, and it's been a difference maker.
Both times you mentioned is they've the fumble recoveries by Gaffney. The defense has been able to get them off the field in a hurry. One of them was the 41-yard line in Byrnes territory as well. So the D has done a nice job there, and they don't get hurt by that.
Well, it's a nice end-over-end punt. It's going to bounce at the 35, and there's a flag down right at the end of this. You know, didn't look to be much going on there, but our officials saw something. Let's see which side this benefits with the flag down at the 38-yard line. Retreating to the line of scrimmage, but I think that's just a matter of making sure everybody's in communication with our head referee. So Byrnes, at least for now, making sure Gaffney comes away with nothing after the turnover.
And they're talking with Coach Shaw there and
Indians
what his options are.
Yep. Indians were trying to flip the field. You said it, Tom. Looks like it's a decision time for Byrnes. Do they want the Gaffney Indians to kick it again, or? And it seems to be trending that direction. I'm going to back Gaffney up and force another kick. And why not? We've already seen what a difference one of these special teams plays can make in the game.
And you got Coach Shaw going over there talking to his quarterback, and that's going to be another big possession coming up if they're able to corral it, and should really change a possibility anyway of changing field position. There was an illegal substitution.
Yep. Quarterback's coach over there getting a nice word in with, as you said, his QB before it gets rolling here. 4th down, Gaffney to kick it now, standing back at the 10-yard line. Gets a foot into it. And this will take a Gaffney bounce. to the 35-yard line. Byrnes will have it on the 35. Looking to put something on the board, trailing Gaffney by 11 mid-third.
Time for tonight's Drive Save Game Break, brought to you by George Sink Injury Lawyers, reminding students and families that the most important win is getting home safely. Did you know that car crashes are the leading cause of death for U.S. teens? And nearly half of teen drivers killed in crashes weren't wearing a seatbelt. Drive smart, drive safe, and remember, George Sink Injury Lawyers is proud to stand behind our student athletes and safe drivers.
You saw the Peach a moment ago.
Yeah.
Proud home of the Peach Festival every summer here, where they are chasing championship number 19. Nobody with more of them in the history of South Carolina football than these Gaffney Indians, and they lead at 21-10 with 5:07 to go in the third. Byrnes has the football back here, though. Rebels looking to return to that first quarter form, and a big part of that would be Segura. He takes off. He's across the 40 to the 44-yard line. That's near first down yardage on the first down play. Tom, so much history between these two, so much history being made here tonight. Segura trying to etch his name in it.
Tell you what, he has been impressive here tonight, and I think a majority of his runs he's gotten after there's been pretty good penetration, and he's been able to cut it to the outside, and then once he gets momentum going, 206 pounds, he's tough to bring down.
He carried it 76 times coming in for just under 700 yards. And he's done good work again tonight for this Byrnes squad. You think about the first half that he put together, a couple of key runs. 18 times he carried it, was on the doorstep of 100 total when all the rushing yards were put together. This Byrnes team in that first half of action. 4:13 and ticking downward. First down from the 45. Segura. Boy, it catches your attention, Tom, how often they run number 3. He's a guy, we said it, Byrnes people talking about how he carries so much of the load for this team. And those numbers that we gave you a moment ago bear that out.
And Adrian Monroe came up, and he took him on one-on-one, but not before he got about 10 more yards and goes over 100 again, you said, and he's coming off 179 2 touchdowns and 18 carries against Riverside, and I think over 100 in every game except for Dorman.
Well, with these type runs, why not? He's still going. Now, flag is thrown back into the backfield as he eclipses the 40-yard line, and judging from where that's thrown. Well, let's see. The Byrnes is saying it's going to be against Gaffney. And it is a face mask as they will walk off the personal foul against the Indians. So a couple of face masks, one on each side tonight, proving costly. We'll see just how costly as Byrnes drives deeper into Gaffney territory.
And we're talking about Segura against Tatiel Hanna, and we hadn't talked much about it. That's a big win. Hanna right now is 5-1, along with Greenwood and Greenville as well. 30-10 win. He had 134-120 against Irmo, and Irmo, like one of the top teams in the entire state at all levels, and lost a tough one, 35-32 at home to them. So they've been tested. That's a good win over T.L. Hanna.
We'll see that T.L. Hanna team on the 31st against Greenville, Serene Stadium, home of the Red Raiders, one of the great locales for football here in the upstate. Hope you'll make plans to join us the next 3 Friday nights. Friday Night Rivals rolls on. We're going to be in Swain County next week.
Yes.
Going over in the week following, and then Greenville this week. It's set to close out another tremendous season.
What is this? Every time you and I drive, we got to watch out for, was it bison? Or
yeah, you got to,
deer or what?
The beautiful thing is you get to see all kind of great
White
things
squirrels.
as we travel around the Carolinas. Here's Segura again, and he makes a man miss. Is inside the 10. He's trying to make the best of this First Bank red zone chance as he has Byrnes in business. Rebels on what seems to be somewhat of a have-to-have-it drive, just from a momentum standpoint, and Segura is doing the heavy lifting.
Well, the defense set it up after they did turn the ball over, and maybe a cramp there, trying to grab that calf. But you want to go back, Jason, to before they came back out, and we had a shot of Reggie Shaw talking to Kane Rogers. Okay, you know what? Guys made a mistake, no problem. Move on to the next play. Easier said than done sometimes. It's a good drive, important drive.
Coach Reggie Shaw's Byrnes Rebels and Johnny Littlejohn, first-year head coach of the Gaffney Indians. They're going toe-to-toe here. Indians lead it. So look at the Byrnes head coach and his team. If you just happen to be joining us, and we pointed back to it a couple of times because it's the story of the night, sprinted out to a 10-0 advantage. That was the story at the end of the first quarter. They kicked a 28-yard field goal, then had 70-yard touchdown toss to Harris. After Chu Harris scored, been nothing since. It is his team, Coach Littlejohn's team, putting the last 21 on the board. It's good to see. Up and being helped off far side. Tom, you cannot state enough how important it is that this young man remains available for the Byrnes Rebels.
Yeah, I mean, just solid performance again tonight, and opportunity for Jacoby Fuller to step in there, maybe see what.
Fuller's had a couple of key runs tonight, but Segura provides such a threat. Defenses have to key in on him with so much emphasis that you hope to see him back soon. Here's the first down play from inside the 10-yard line. And the First Bank red zone chance will continue. Rogers had designs on finding some space, but big 4-4, Kelton Smith filled it up.
Tell you what, that young man has played well tonight. And you mentioned 6'4", 315 senior, and they had a play earlier in the game where he continued and ran and helped run it down from behind. That's a good play right there.
Just a couple of minutes remaining when this snap takes place in the third quarter. A second down goal from the 9. You said it, Fuller will get a chance, and he runs into a host of black jerseys after picking up a yard or two. It's going to be third down and goal.
Yeah, initial contact there by another young man having a great night, Will Williams, Kamari Williams, the defensive end, 6 feet, 255. Big guy up front, boy, right next to Smith at 315.
You're wondering about Fuller, 3 touchdown runs. 5 carries of the football for 249 yards coming in. Longest run of the year, 19 prior to this one tonight. He's the feature back right now with Segura off injured, and that is swatted away. Who else but Ratchford? Zion Ratchford, Gaffney coaching staff telling us across the last couple of weeks that he is the heart and soul of this defense, and you see why, as 15 uses every bit of his wingspan here.
Man, that is a really nice play. You see him kind of right in the middle there, and I tell you what, if he doesn't make that deflection there, that's going to be a touchdown. He had Caleb McDowell in the end zone wide open, but a nice play.
One of the candidates for our bus stop of the game when all is said and done. 25-yard field goal attempt. Remember, started with a field goal, a 28-yarder. And this one is just as true. So bookending the scoring so far for Byrnes, the 2 field goals as they inch a little closer. Well, the Nth Degree Orthodontics Smile Cam back in effect on this night, and our Smile Cam throughout the course of the Friday Night Rivals football season, brought to you by Nth Degree Orthodontics here in the state of South Carolina. They are providing smiles all across the Palmetto State, and those who love smiling a little brighter thanks to Nth Degree Orthodontics Smile Cam. Well, Tom,
Yep.
Byrnes coming away with points. That's something to smile about for those who made the trip over from up in Lyman area, and it's been a couple of field goals now that have been connected on by Zach Reinert. All of a sudden, it's a one-possession football game.
Yeah, our drive began at the 35 at 5:07, so about 3 minutes, 59 seconds, and able to keep it out of the end zone, but they got the 3 points.
So credit the Gaffney defense in many ways. A couple of times that Byrnes looked as if they were destined to score there, and they were held to just 3 to start the game and 3 most recently. But the 3 that you're keeping an eye on right now is what is the status of Segura. He had to go out there at the end, was not available to try to run that into the end zone. So, and it'd be interesting to see what his availability and just how effective he can be as we close in on the fourth quarter, Tom.
Yeah, it looked like, you don't want to ever speculate and call it a certainty, but it looked like maybe calf and had a cramp there. We'll see. Fuller had a pretty good gain, and then they tried to throw it, and Radford made a nice play.
Both backs have been banged up, was going to say, at one time or another tonight. Hill, who left the game earlier, is in there for Gaffney, and they handed his direction now. It's good for a couple of yards on the first down play. Josiah Hill, he was one of the heroes of the win over Spartanburg a couple of weeks ago. They found some stability there with him. You talk about backs that are banged up, and everybody has their share of injuries, but Mr. McDowell, Jay McDowell, was a big part of what Gaffney expected to do this year. We saw him on our air against Spartanburg be one of the key playmakers, and a guy who was a starter as a 9th grader, Tom, who had such a bright future. They lost him prior to the season. He's still got a bright future in the game of football, but, his senior campaign not going according to plan here. They're chasing 19, and as we were told by the coaching staff, they're doing it for the glory of God. First of all, they're doing it for Jaden McDowell, number 2, who's not out there on the field, and also for Seth Phillips, a young man who dealt with some issues that forced him to move on from football, a multi-sport athlete, well-respected here at Gaffney, Seth Phillips and the entire Phillips family. But they're chasing 19 for those 3. You think about a night like this, and all of a sudden Segura a little banged up. What happened with McDowell for Gaffney, a big difference maker. And that's a part of this sport of football. What will those who are out there be able to do in the fourth quarter? This one's going to be settled there, as it's a one-possession game between the Indians and the Rebels again. Contest at Byrnes led 10-0 after 1. Gaffney scored 21 unanswered until the field goal just moments ago from the Rebels cut it to 21-13. Fourth quarter in the 43rd all-time meeting between these two programs, 2 with plenty of state championships in the trophy case along the way, and 2 that believe they might be able to add another this year, Tom.
When you have to build a larger, case to hold your state championships, you've been pretty successful, I'd say.
Both of them with fine facilities as well. Third down to open the quarter, and this is a direct that will be stood up. Byrnes having none of it as they found a pestering approach to this toss Kareem Shaw's direction. Gaffney goes backwards on this play.
Yeah, direct snap right there. I mean, he didn't have a chance there with the great penetration up front to begin things. And again, that was Justice Hopkins who started things. The young man that's headed the Shrine Bowl, 6'2", 245 senior. He blew it up to begin with.
When Byrnes had to have it, again, there's a lot of time left in this one in just a one-possession game. So plenty of moments remain to make your mark. But that's a momentum play for Byrnes as they now have the Gaffney kicking unit out there. And return man for the Rebels standing at his own 30. And you know the kicking unit is the Gaffney QB, Banks Mountain. This sails out of bounds, and that's going to be excellent field position for Byrnes. In fact, they will begin this drive on the Gaffney side of the 50 with 11:05 to go in the football game.
Yeah, just kind of shanked it off the side there and sailed out of bounds. So outstanding field position. So what happens is you get behind the sticks a little bit there and try a little trickery, and it didn't work out.
A couple of numbers through three quarters for you. 239 total yards for Byrnes, 210 total yards for Gaffney. If you're wondering about the split, 99 of those through the air for Byrnes, 28 of them through the air for Gaffney, 182 on the ground, 140 of them on the ground for the Byrnes Rebels tonight. That's how things have gone offensively. You know, one of the areas that really caught our attention early, Tom, was time of possession. Byrnes basically controlling the football for the entirety of that first quarter. That's coming a little bit more down to earth of late for Gaffney. And boy, this front for both teams has made headlines at times tonight. That last play snuffed out once again by Kelton Smith.
Yeah, and Williams was with him. Those two guys side by side have had an excellent night tonight. Up front. Fuller's still in there, Jason, as a running back.
Well, and that's what we're watching. Will Segura be able to return? He's such a big part of what Byrnes does. And you know how much of the heavy lifting he generally handles down the stretch. Without him for now, this is caught, but it's still going to be about 3 yards shy of the marker. So third down coming after Harris reels this in. Remember, he had the long touchdown run where he did the good work after the toss from Rogers earlier. What will the Rebels decide to do here? Under 10 minutes to play. And guess who's back in the alignment? Segura in the backfield ahead of third down and 3. It will be Segura. And he looks no worse for the wear. Enough to get the first down. What a good sign for Byrnes, and good to see him back out there. Trey Segura rushes it for a movement of the chains. That's a Greenville awning first down, and the Byrnes march continues.
Yeah, we've seen him kind of bounce a little bit, show some patience. That time, he just jammed it up inside and went off that left side. Zion Fuller, Joshua Chambers, and Daniel Cornell. All big guys up front that paved the way there.
You watch the clock. It's closing in on 9:15 to go. Plenty of movement for Byrnes this time as they use motion to seal off that left side. Segura, good for a couple. Going to be second down and about 8.
I'll tell you what, that's another nice play by the middle linebacker, Zion Ratchford. One-on-one basically there. 6'3", 215 senior. Leading tackler coming in with 49, and we'll see him square it up right there. He got past the big guy up front, Justice Meredith, the right guard, 6'2", 280 senior. Kind of played off of him, and able to make that tackle for a relatively short gain.
Couple of fumbles tonight, a special teams miscue that led to a Gaffney touchdown when they fell on in the end zone, yet Byrnes is right here marching toward what would be, if they decide to go for it early on right away, a tying score with a 2-point conversion that would be on the table. They could hold that for later with a lot of football left. We'll see. And that may have been a lot more on that play had Harris not lost his footing.
Nice catch. He was kind of going to the sideline and to reach back and made a nice catch about shoulder pad high there before he lost his footing on the far sideline.
Another good one from the reservation. Our annual stop here in Gaffney, and the Byrnes Rebels on the move. So many great moments in the history of this rivalry. Look no further than last year, a couple of overtimes it required Gaffney to pick up the win. Here is another rushing play right in the teeth on that left hash of the Gaffney D, and Byrnes with a movement of the chain. It's a Greenville awning first down, and it'll keep the march moving.
Tell you what, interspersed a little bit with the passing game, trying to keep everybody honest around there, but hard going up inside right now.
Greenville awning, your home or business. They got you taken care of. Greenville awning, the responsible party for sponsoring our first downs tonight. On the verge of the First Bank red zone. Byrnes faking the give to Segura. Big time pursuit. Rogers just gets rid of it. As he was running for his life, nobody fooled on the Gaffney side of things. Certainly not Michaels, who's had a good night.
Yeah, he's had a good night tonight. That's a good job there by the quarterback, Kane Rogers. Just to avoid that sack, throw it down. And I'm sure he doesn't think it got past the line of scrimmage, but he was in the pocket there. So bottom line was a complete pass.
Hanging on every single snap of the football. First-year head coach of the Indians on display for you there a moment ago. Talked about how he's embraced this new role, discovering some things, leaning on some of the great coaches around the area, including one right here in his own backyard that he still visits with regularly. How about this run? Seam inside the 10-yard line, and hitting that seam is Segura. He thought he should have had 6 right there, but he does work it into a 1st and goal scenario, a First Bank red zone opportunity set up on this run by Segura. You better believe he's back.
Look, there's 3 different cuts. Again, I know we keep talking about that, but I mean, his versatility and his ability, not only in the open field, but even up inside, to provide himself with an opportunity to get it down where it is.
Rogers gives it to him again, but it is blown up this time around. Bailey on the scene immediately.
Now the last time he did the same thing, and the play went away from him. This time he went to, nobody touched him there, and you're blocking down. And made a nice individual tackle. If you get him down one-on-one on the open field, that's pretty good.
You wouldn't think by any means the final possession here, but a critical possession nonetheless. Big 2-7 coming up large for the Gaffney Indians. Out of a 2nd down goal, now from outside the 10. After that loss on the big leg. Fuller rushed out of bounds at around the 9-yard line. Jacoby Fuller with 6:13 to play. 3rd down goal coming.
And that's a pretty good play by Ty McGill, too, because you want to get him out on the edge, and he kind of ushered him toward the sideline to get him out of bounds there and not let him get any more yards than he did.
Well, near capacity crowd on the home side here at Gaffney rising to their feet in support of this defense, and those who made the trip over with the Byrnes Rebels on the edge of their seats to see what happens on a 3rd and goal. One of those moments you'll remember from tonight's game right here. Rogers in zone, in and out of the hands of his intended target, incomplete. He had Kalen McDowell, but he was well covered, and it'll be 4th down goal.
I tell you, that's a nice play, too, by Adrian. They call him Money Monroe, 5'10", 150 junior, but it's a really good job, I thought, by Rogers to deliver that. It gave him a chance to catch it just out of his reach, and he's backpedaling kind of off his back foot.
3rd field goal attempt tonight. This one's going to come from the near side hash. It'll be a 25-yarder again. Reinhardt is connected on a couple of these already. And he's going to split the uprights one more time. 3rd field goal of the night, and this 25-yarder makes it a 21-16 contest. Mid-4th. Well, Segura showing his mettle tonight. He has revealed just what he's made of. He's our Henson's Mulch and More dirty jersey of the game because, Tom, from the beginning stages, he's done so much of the heavy lifting for Byrnes. Came back after being a little banged up earlier, and he was the catalyst for making sure the Rebels got points on this drive.
And you look at that, you're going to go back to that tackle, too, that before he got to the end. So that young man has been as good as advertised. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but just an outstanding young man having a heck of a night.
What a night it's been here. What a season it's been. Hello to Zeke watching in Greenville. We'll be in Greenville to close out this season.
Halloween.
We will be there on the 31st of October. We also have a couple of contests coming your way, including from Swain County next week. So 3 more editions of Friday Night Rivals. And with contests like this, why not join us each Friday night? We look forward to having you with us. What a joy that you've chosen to spend your Friday evening with us. And this one, well, it rarely disappoints. Certainly not doing it right now. As the Byrnes Rebels in the latest edition with the Gaffney Indians going right down to the wire. And it's going to be caught at around the 20. You know, Tom, you think about it. If you went to bed with stories of Marcus Lattimore on one side, who was one of the great backs, and the list goes on and on. We could go on forever. And, you know, Sidney Rice and some of those teams in the same vein from here at Gaffney. And, boy, you could, again, list them forever. The coaches that have made their marks on this rivalry. Tonight, a group of young men, a couple of coaches able to add their name to the list with the latest chapter. And it is far from settled with 6 minutes to play.
Well, the one thing about it is with the history between these two and in those specific communities, you grow up. This is what you want to do. You want to play in games like this. I mean, this is awesome. Most kids don't go on and play college football, but, you know, you're living your dream on a Friday night in your local community.
Yep, and it's going to be one to remember, it seems. Here's the Gaffney QB. Remember, he had that long touchdown run earlier. About going to be hit after he's out of bounds, and Laundry flies. This is going to tack on a whole lot more for Gaffney.
Yeah, a little bit late there, and they had him bottled up pretty well. And, you know, Batten's been a factor here in the second half. So, you know, if you want to key on Hill, then you've got that opportunity. We saw him with a 31-yard run. We saw him with an 80-yard touchdown run as well, but this is a big penalty here.
Well, while they sort this out, let's go downfield side for tonight's check presentation.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. I'm standing here on the sidelines with the proud principal here at Gaffney High School, Dr. Eric Blanton. Dr. Blanton, on behalf of My 40 and Friday Night Rivals, number one, thank y'all so much for inviting us here tonight. This is a thriller of a game. But number two, we proudly present you a check for $500, sir.
Thank you so much, and we're glad to have you here. Go Indians.
All right, let me hear it one more time.
Go Indians.
That's what I'm talking about. Tom, Jason, back to you guys.
New superintendent here at Gaffney, Fitzpatrick, a familiar name, used to be the principal here at Gaffney, selected superintendent. We thank the superintendent, the principal, all those who've made it possible. Athletic director Malcolm Long. You want to go deep into some names that have made their mark on this rivalry and many rivalries for the Indians. Malcolm Long and his staff making it possible for us to bring you nights like tonight. So to both the Gaffney staff hosting us tonight, everybody at Byrnes making these kind of experiences possible, we say a big thank you. And boy, Indians fans right now, they're looking at Boughton and what he's trying to will this team toward. They lead it 21-16, but there is a long way to go in this one.
Yeah, it was a great job there, though, by Boughton. I mean, like how Moss, who's had a nice night as well, had a chance to tackle him for a loss on the play, but 6'2", 205, strong enough to get to the outside to get a good gain.
Second down. Hill. First down into Byrnes territory. As Gaffney is on the march with a lead of 5 as we go under 5 to play.
Well, Hill going downhill, and he gets around the edge there, and he got a nice gain. So, I mean, you've got to be concerned with what Boughton can do, and you've kind of got a double threat there in the backfield right now in the running game. And we have seen this in evidence, as you remember the second half of the Spartanburg game, what those two were able to accomplish in the 28-21 win.
That is a Greenville awning first down, and the first down play snuffed out by Byrnes. That's a nice job of covering up the QB by Montgomery and company.
Shout out Montgomery, who's there to help make the tackle. I tell you, Kelshard Harris has been in on a number of plays here tonight. This has been a great one.
Yeah, everything you want on a night like this. Still plenty to be written as the clock winds inside 4.5 minutes to play. Gaffney very methodical here with the lead, trying to do as much to work time off that game clock as to put further points on the board right now. Understandably so. Boughton tossed in the direction of his back, and that is incomplete. Had to turn there and couldn't quite find it.
Yeah, just a little bit behind him, a little bit disappointed. But I think it was pretty well defended. We'll get one more look at it here. Cross buck action there. Well, if he gets it out of the edge, he might have a chance to turn the corner and got there in front of Moss. So here comes a big third down play. We've had a few of these, haven't we, Jason?
Yes, we have. How many key third downs have there been tonight?
And where you get on this play may be determined whether you go for it, you kick it away and play defense and try to win it.
Boughton, Hill, and he's going to be about 5 yards, maybe even 6 yards shy of the first down. Fourth down decision coming with under 4 minutes to play.
That's where you make your money, right? The 41-yard line. In a 21-16 game, you have done a nice job defensively to keep Byrnes out of the end zone. They've settled for 2 back-to-back 25-yard field goals to get themselves within 5 points. Touchdown would win it. They're probably going to think about this one here with the clock winding down.
Yeah, that Gaffney staff looking at their options. Boy, every time we come here, it seems like we get an absolute classic. Rebels and Indians not disappointing again here in 2025, and a major fourth down call coming up with 3:19 to play. Well, who's going to have the stop of the game? That's what Byrnes is looking for right here, right now. It may still be out in front of us. You got to remember, they played double overtime a year ago. But when we look back at some of the stops from this game, we remind you that the bus stop of the game is one of the great features of Friday Night Rivals.
This is the school bus stop of the game. Always remember to stop when the school bus arm is out.
Well, here is one of the key stops in this contest tonight. And there have been so many, and the one that may determine it still in front of us perhaps. This at the moment is our bus stop of the game. Remember, when the stop arm is out and the lights are on, you got to bring it to a halt for protection of all.
Always remember to stop when the school bus arm is out.
Will there be a stop here? Will Gaffney perhaps keep this drive alive? Will they opt to pin Byrnes deep? All those determinations coming. Tom, let's reset it for everyone. Byrnes led 10-0 early at the end of the first period. Gaffney reeled off 21 unanswered. The Rebels have since kicked a couple of field goals to inch ever closer, and now the chess match ensues because with 3:19 to play, this fourth down call that Gaffney is still talking over will set the tone for the decisive moments of the latest, this 43rd edition in this rivalry. Split 22-20 right down the middle. Think about that. 43 meetings, 22-20 as we shared with you earlier in the game. And who's going to notch one in the win column on this night? Gaffney's offense back out there, but you know that the quarterback is the punter. So it could go either way here in terms of kicking it or running it. And he's going to toss one over the top. The Indians convert. Gaffney did line up. They did go for it. And he works it to Joe Bauman for a Greenville awning first down. The drive continues as Gaffney's trying to salt one away.
Man, what a call right there. You know, he goes toward the line of scrimmage. He sold that one. He was wide open, and sometimes that's the toughest catch to make. But what a call there by Gaffney on fourth down and 5 for the 41. Major league play right there.
Boughton to Bauman. What a moment that was for Gaffney, and now they're going to keep it on the ground. Here's Hill. Remember, he was heavily involved in salting the Spartanburg victory away a couple of weeks ago, and he's going to take it down inside 2:40 to play. As Gaffney is looking for that score that would create the separation this home fan base is looking for here, Tom. It is a First Bank red zone opportunity for Gaffney. As How many times did we see third down and conversions tonight? Fourth down rolls of the dice tonight. The latest for Gaffney paying dividends right now.
That may turn out to be one of the big calls of the year right there. And the
gutsy move.
Yeah, with Banks, Bowden, and what he's been able to do, and then you've got Josiah Hill there, and if you're defensively and you're trying to play that again, he can, maybe do something, but something on the edge. It's from a passing game situation. That the nice release, wide open, everybody flowed to the line of scrimmage, and then Bowden able to make that catch for an 18-yard gain on third down and 5 at the 41-yard line. Huge call and execution.
Part of what creates such an opportunity. You remember the long touchdown run from Bowden earlier in the contest. I mean, tiptoeing down the sidelines at one point and taking it 80 for that most recent Gaffney TD. You have to honor his wills, and he ends up tossing it over the top. Gaffney now in the red zone with 2:40 to play. Key Region 2 showdown unfolding before our very eyes with a couple of teams with championship hopes going toe-to-toe. Here's Bowden. I know you're keeping an eye on some scores elsewhere as well in Spartanburg County that Byrnes fans and beyond have a mind toward looking at.
Yeah, Spartanburg got a 23-7 lead on Dorman. Dorman scored 20 consecutively, 27-23, and right now Spartanburg late in the fourth quarter there has gone back on top 30-27. Two great games in 5A Region 2 tonight, and a nice defensive play there. I mean, nothing fancy. Bowden's just going to keep it, but the penetration set it up. Here comes a big third down play right here.
Isn't that the trademark of this region?
Man.
Night in, night out. They give you scenarios just like this.
And as far as the playoffs are concerned, it does make a difference in whether you win it or not.
Don't let game night dinner get you stressed. Stop by Ingles for great choices from the Ingles Deli, rotisserie chicken, freshly made salads, and a delicious hot bar and sub bar. Dinner and a snap, then it's off to the game. Ingles, low prices, love the savings. Locked in on the final 2:34 remaining at the reservation in Gaffney on another memorable Friday night with the bright lights shining down on the Byrnes Rebels and the Gaffney Indians. Gaffney on a third down, and let's call it 3. We'll work it left side, and it appears as if Byrnes turned it aside. Let's see, Gaffney wanting to be the beneficiaries of a penalty there. They thought perhaps a face mask scenario might have occurred. Let's see where they spot this, more importantly right now, because he's about a yard shy, it would seem. Well, it looks like the hands are on the football there. He's grabbing the football. Anytime you see a player's head whip around like that, whoever's in those familiar colors and the home side was doing it, going to be screaming, wait a minute, what happened there? Yeah. But they were trying to strip the football out, give themselves a chance. Rebels do come up with a third down stop. And, Tom, it is set up for a 4th and 1 with 2:25 to play.
Well, we had 4th and 5 from the 41-yard line a moment ago and had the 18-yard pass from Banks Bowden to Joe Bauman. And now it's another 4th down play. This drive began with the 6-minute mark. Cherokee versus Swain coming up here, and that will be our ball game next week. We'll be back up in North Carolina for that. We'll also have Robertson and Irwin. Man, we're going down the stretch, and then Halloween. I don't know if we have to dress up or not, Jason, but we'll be in Greenville with T.L. Hannon, which will be a big game as well.
It's going to be a big night here. You know, we were told earlier they brought the Bob Prevet statue over from limestone, placed it out front. They're going to christen that statue, dedicate it that night. Of course, Bob Prevet Field here in Gaffney, one of the great legends in South Carolina high school football history. He saw a lot of these. And Bailey lined up behind him on 4th down. Will be that old school football toughness for Gaffney that pushes them on across the first down marker. And the Indians with that first down in position now to turn this one into a W. A long way to go. But Gaffney's first down run, it would seem. Now, Byrnes trying to make a case that it went their way there. Here comes the official word. And the chop block is called, but it is against the Byrnes Rebels. So the Gaffney first down will stand, and they rise to their feet here at the reservation. Tom, pleased with what this team has done on 4th downs on this drive in an effort to put this one in the books. Now, again, I'll say it, we've seen stranger things in Region 2 over the years, right? And not even the kneel downs assured in this region. But Gaffney certainly in a much better spot after they convert once again.
And Kendarius Bailey got it, 5'11", 212 junior, power formation. We've seen Shaw on a couple of occasions take a direct snap, and this time they had everybody lined up tight inside. Now we're going to have another penalty, unsportsmanlike call.
Now, while they sort this out, let's say one more time. We encourage, if you haven't, get out to Nixon Field this year and see Byrnes' new facility. Also, if you've never been to a game here, try it. 2 of the great facilities, 2 of the great programs. A reminder why this region is the premier region. What do they call it? The SEC of South Carolina high school football. And 2 of the great powers with plenty of championships between them, giving us another memorable night tonight. May not be over just yet. Still 2:09 to play. Remember, if Byrnes can somehow keep the Indians from finding the end zone here, time would be short, but stranger things have happened. Here comes a first down and goal. Another key Greenville awning first down picked up by Gaffney, and they're just 2 yards away from putting what would seem to be the exclamation point on this one. It would also be right at that 28-point threshold, which worked out well for them against another team out of Spartanburg County a couple of weeks ago. Hill will not be denied. Much like the finishing touches on that contest a couple of weeks ago, he finds the end zone, and that South Carolina Army National Guard touchdown for Gaffney makes it 27-16. You heard it right, 27-16 Indians.
That's an impressive drive. It took it over at the 20-yard line at 6-minute mark, and it's all the way down. We can do the math with 1:32. Some of us, anyway, can add and subtract.
Speak for yourself. It's tougher for some of us than others. One thing we know, the Gaffney Indians putting more points on the board, and 28-16 is the advantage with 92 seconds left to play. Well, what a drive for Gaffney. On more than one occasion, Tom, Byrnes putting itself in position to get off the field. But the Gaffney Indians will themselves forward and are on the doorstep now if they can hang on for just over 90 seconds.
Yeah, then you look back to it defensively for Gaffney. They were able to keep them out of the end zone on 3 different occasions. Reiner ended up with 3 field goals, 28, 25, and 25. And they were driving down and had some opportunities and didn't get the 6 points and settled for field goals. And I mean, I did like the call by Coach Shawty. Well, this day and age, sometimes, all right, fourth down, we're going to go for it. They were able to get themselves into a position if they can get the stop and have that opportunity. The more 2 fourth-down conversion, the 4th and 5 from the 41-yard line, the pass to Bauman for 18 was huge. And then you get the 4th and 1, and you're able to pick it up and pass it up inside and get the touchdown the moment to go by Hill after Bailey on 4th down.
Trying to take one more huge step toward chasing 19. Tribe leading it 28-16. 92 seconds left to play at the reservation. A memorable year, no less, in the history of this program. Flags come in from everywhere.
Look out.
And now a little extra curricular following the play, and both coaching staffs getting out there quickly to try to pull their young men. It's an emotional game, and you know what this rivalry means on both sides. There will be plenty of flags to sort out. And again, Tom, there's still a minute 23 left in this football game.
Well, you saw the unsportsmanlike before the touchdown that moved it about half the distance to the goal as well. So You knew lots of emotions high in this game. And we'll see what they are. And Jason, you were talking about Gaffney after tonight. They had Riverside to go to Dorman. And Dorman's just been tied up with Spartanburg late in the fourth there as they try to sort this thing out. And then they are going to finish with Wade Hampton. So there are a couple of really big games. If Dorman could pull it off, they would be 4-0.
But remember, Dorman, Spartanburg, Byrnes are all competing for a championship. Of course, Gaffney in there with the likes of Northwestern and others from this region of the state that are going to have their say in a championship. We said it coming in tonight as they sort out all the penalties. This is a night where both these teams, because of the way the classifications and the divisions work out this year, could both be competing for a championship when all is said and done in 2025. If the Indians looking to take a step that direction, and this is going to be further salt in the wound right now for Byrnes. Is going to back the Rebels up inside the 10 as things got a little testy at the end of this return. You get the visuals on exactly what transpired. From behind, swallowed up at around the 13-yard line. The clock going to wind down toward the final minute or so of this contest. And Tom, you said it, Byrnes, the tough one, as Dorman rolled in there to Nixon Field, picked up the W. Byrnes will look back at this being up 10-0 after one period here at Gaffney. It's been, for the most part, the Indians since then. You got to think about it. Just a couple of field goals since that time for Byrnes after they led 10-0 after one. And the quarterback swallowed up by that Gaffney D as a guy who already had one moment tonight, right? He fell on the punt in the end zone as it sneaked away to give Gaffney its first lead. He may have put the exclamation point with 28 now on the board, and the Indians well out front.
Think about 2 touchdowns. A bad snap over the head of the punter, recovered by Logan to the end zone, and then on the third play of the second half, Boughton, the quarterback, goes 80 yards for a touchdown. 2 big touchdowns in this game.
Setting it up underneath for Segura. Everyone keying on him, and he is swallowed up by Bailey once again. Final seconds working their way down. 3, 2, 1. They celebrate at the reservation in Gaffney. The Indians storm from behind in the second and third quarters, put the finishing touches on it in the fourth, and they pick up yet another win over Byrnes in this 43rd edition of one of the great rivalries the Palmetto State provides. 28-16, the final. Well, for the second time in 3 weeks, the Gaffney Indians come away with a key Region 2 victory over a Spartanburg County rival as they take care of the Byrnes Rebels, storming back from a 10-0 deficit after one period. Really used the start of the second quarter, the start of the third quarter, and then found a way to salt it away in the fourth time. It's another impressive win for the Gaffney Indians here in front of their home fans, and one step closer for Gaffney to chasing 19.
Yeah, I tell you, there was some big plays down the stretch, but if you go back to early in the game when it was 10-0, that drive when they were able to put it together and went 80 yards and 223 in the 28-yard run by Justin Dawkins. Got them back into the game and at a 10-7, and then a couple fourth down conversions, and none bigger than the fourth down and one. And Coach Littlejohn went for it. 2:23 left to go, I think, at that particular point in time, and then kind of pump fake inside and drop back and just dump it over the line of scrimmage, and Bauman cut it for 18 yards, and that sets things up. 4th and 1 conversion by Bailey as well. Then Hill gets the touchdown and put it away.
Yeah, Boughton on the ground when he needed to. Remember him tiptoeing the sideline, going
yards
for 80, and then later on, he draws the defense in. You said it, little toss over the top, the difference maker. They give it to Hill in the end, who salts it away one more time by falling into the end zone to put 28 on the board, and 28-16 is the final. Something about these Gaffney Indians when they're on Friday Night Rivals, something about them here at the reservation for sure. And this is a team, Tom, that looks poised to make it deep into the fall in 2025. First-year head coach of the Gaffney Indians, Donnie Littlejohn. He just did this a couple of weeks ago on the road, but he'll do it in the friendly confines tonight. That's the Bojangles Trophy presentation. Here's Nelson.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Contest. Well, Coach, first thing is first, congratulations on an amazing win here tonight. This is now the second time in 2 weeks we've had y'all featured on our FNR lineup. One time it's a visiting team 2 weeks ago, and tonight here is the home team. And on both occasions, y'all have emerged victorious. Let's talk about your thoughts on the game, Coach.
Well, again, I think everybody played well. One of the things that we've been asking for, 4 quarters with all 3 phases of the game, special team, defense, and offense. And I think tonight we put that together, and I'm just excited for these guys.
You mentioned special teams, offense, and defense. Let's talk about the overall resiliency and tenacity of your team, Coach.
Well, we know we have a special bunch here, and we've been preaching, and we'll come together as a team and build some team chemistry. That this could be a really good season. I think you've seen that happening. It started, versus Bowling Springs, and we had a good a good 4th quarter versus Spartanburg. Last week they battled real hard against the East Side. And tonight we came out here to versus Byrnes and put it together. And I'm just super thrilled, super happy for these guys.
Well, tonight's win, y'all now have a record of 5-2, Coach, in these final few games of the regular season and beyond. What can we expect from the Gaffney Indians as we move forward?
We have a record of 4-0 in the conference, and that's the most important thing. The one thing we're trying to do is take it one team at a time. The next team is Riverside, and we're going to concentrate on them, and hopefully we can continue and end up 7-0 in the conference and get a good season for the postseason play.
Now, Coach, on a serious note, you, your team, and your coaching staff, y'all are decked out in pink here tonight in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. What message would you convey to the community in regards to the importance of this particular time of the year?
Well, anytime that we can celebrate, people surviving cancer and surviving breast cancer, we're going to always take that opportunity to do it. I lost my mom back in 2012 to breast cancer, so I know what that means and I know what it feels. And I'm just so excited for everybody that survived and what this represents.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, I think this belongs to you. Team, let me hear it one time. Go Indians!
Yeah.
28 on the board for the Gaffney Indians, a 28-16 victory. You know how special this is for him.
Yeah.
He said his mom, his savior, going to be smiling down on him. You hope tonight it ends with the Bojangles Trophy presentation. Such a special evening when you consider what it was dedicated to. A special night for Gaffney in terms of just picking up the W here, Tom. It's a big Region 2 win for Gaffney. You look ahead at what's going on around the state, and this is a team with potential to do something special, chasing 19. What a thought.
Yeah, it is. 30-30 right now, by the way. Norman and Spartanburg as they play there. Just a great night. Made the plays they needed to make. Came from behind and got a nice win here tonight.
It's another victory for the Gaffney Indians here at the reservation. The latest chapter in their battles with the Byrnes Rebels. And again, one step closer to a memorable fall full of pleasant surprises. 28-16, the final. Gaffney a winner.